Today. Today is Tuesday, May 23rd of 2023. And we'll start with our small account here. As you see, we sold the SCHD July 21st $73 call option. Now this was actually to turn our position into a covered call. So we own 100 shares of SCHD. We had sold a covered call option that expired last Friday, the third Friday of May. So we just sold a new one, and we went out to July so we can get 50 cents per share so we can get some decent premium. So that's the one trade we did in SCHD. That's the price we paid for. We paid for the shares, $73. And so we'll see how the next couple months play out. Now moving on to our main option trading account, our larger account, we did 3 new cash secured put options. Now the first one here is just adding to our GILD June 16th, $77.50 cash secured put option. So we sold one more and pocketed $1.55 per share. And here you see the charts of GILD. Starting here on the hourly chart, we see it just continues to find this nice rounded bottom. Now it's about to get interesting because it's about to hit up against this 200 moving average here, this red 200 moving average on this hourly chart. So that'll be really the first determining factor as to if this nice rounded bottom will continue to go up from there. So we'll see how that plays out. Here on our daily chart, we like what we see. We see that it's just, again, having another nice rounded bottom here, but more on the daily chart level. And so we see it's finding nice support right at the 200 moving average, this red line here. There are some nice long legs where sellers came in and pushed it down. Notice that they did pierce our $77.50 cash secured put option strike price several times in the past couple of weeks, but they did end up holding, and they actually held right at that moving average. So we'll have to see what happens if that moving average continues to hold. Right now, it's looking like it will, and volume is not telling us anything differently. Over the past couple of weeks, we see buyers and sellers have been fairly equal. The 2 down days, yesterday and today, where the volume was not that high, it's fairly low, well below the 50 moving average. So we'll have to see what happens. If it does advance from here, it probably will run into resistance at this 50 moving average, which would put it around $81. So a little bit higher than where it's been trading at the past recent several weeks. Now over here on this weekly chart, we see that it's again finding support, this green 50 moving average on this weekly time frame. Notice that when it was declining several weeks ago, the volume also declined, so the sellers were getting less and less excited until last week. We had a nice little green candle, and we have yet to see how this week turns out. We still have 3 days left in this trading week. As I mentioned a couple of days ago, I don't like that it's farther away from this red 200 moving average, but if this area does fail to serve as support right here, right at the strike price we sold, the next major area looks to be right here around 74 and a half, and so that would be the next area of support that GILD would most likely find. Now moving on to our next trade in O, we sold the June 16th $60 cash secured put option. And again, we're adding to this position. We're adding slowly. We like to add slowly just to make sure that things continue to line up the way we saw them initially in our initial trades. And again, we see that realty income, we see it's in a wedge here. And you probably see a little better on this weekly chart. So we see it's in a nice big wedge here. Although it did pierce below this lower leg here, this upward sloping trend line. But if you redraw that, we are still in an upward sloping trend line. So we'll have to see what happens. It is right around the area that sort of support for it back here in March. Now that area did reach as low as 59, around 59 and just above 59 looks like. So right around 59. So if it does decline from here, it very well may retest that $59 area. So we'll have to see if that holds. But over the past week, we see there was a decline, kind of a big red candle here. Volume was not very high, but it was decently high. It was just below the average of the weekly, the past 50-day bars. And then we had a nice green candle with a nice leg. Then over the past several days, we see volume has just declined. So it appears that sellers are losing excitement to sell realty income. So is it bottoming out? It could be. It could also head for another leg lower and retest this $59 area. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But over here on the weekly chart, we see that there was a pretty strong red candle last week, and it was not only a higher volume, but also a nice big down move. But so far it appears to be trading sideways for the first few days of this week. So I like realty income. It's a company I don't mind being, if it were assigned to us, we'll collect that monthly dividend. We can sell covered calls against it. We have a good track record with realty income. It's done well for us. It appears to be the area of support in a general vicinity of the lower range of where it's been in, actually going back to 2020, except for the big crash when COVID first hit the news. So we'll see how this position plays out. We can still add to it, and we will if it continues to have a good return and find support. Finally, we added to our XEL position by selling the June 16th $65 cash secured put option. and got $1 per share. Again, another position we're building slowly, and you see why. We're in another wedge here, as you see on this weekly chart. See that it's made a higher low, and it hasn't made a higher high because this upper wedge is kind of holding it down. The recent high before the wave it's in now is around 72, so it did make a little bit of a lower high. So it's in this wedge. Expect it to stay in this wedge and kind of get tighter and tighter until it breaks out either above it or below it. So we'll see which way it ends up going. But it is in the lower part of this wedge, so I felt comfortable selling the $65 cash secured put option. Looking here at the hourly chart, we see there's a pretty nice decline several weeks back, but now it appears to be leveling off. And buyers came in today and bought it up, pretty nice volume. Sellers tried to sell it down, and they did sell it down, but then buyers came back in and bought it back up. So we see the nice high volume, and buyers end up winning the day. But again, it's just been trading sideways for about the past 4 days. So we're okay with that. We're happy with that. Over here on the weekly chart, we see it's finding support at this 200 moving average. We really like that. That's a nice support line. Saw a nice little leg last week. So far this week, we see a nice little leg, which means sellers are testing that support. So far, it's holding. So as long as it continues to do that, then I have no problem adding to this position. So that's our 3 trades for today, and I hope you have a great evening.